What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. And a shout out first to Zahira. Zahira, I promise you, if I don't see you and speak to you on Skype within the next 72 hours, I think I will die. I think that. I think that. Because ever since I knew of you, I think is how I want to say it, I feel energy from you. Remember, I always tell you guys I'm clairvoyant and I have a sixth sense and I feel energy. And I feel energy from you. I need to see and speak to you. I need you to hear that. I need to hear and speak to you. I need that. I need it. I need it. I didn't get a chance to do my live stream yesterday, you guys, with regard to the ancient or the African belief system. God willing, I will do that either tomorrow or Saturday. Also, any comments that you leave on this video, you can also let me know what's like the best times. Doesn't matter the day. You can tell me what day and what days are best for you for live streams, so I can just get a sense of a poll, and so that I know when is the most effective time to do live streams for us. So, and I'm also going to be bringing you a piece in this with regard to these women in Georgia that is keeping me up at nights ever since I found out about it. But first I want to begin with this, because Zahira sent me this link in response to the video that I did on the agenda to wipe us out with this interracial bullshit. Fewer births than deaths amongst the white devil of the U.S. states. Alright, this is from the 20th of June, so this is from yesterday. Alright. Washington. Deaths now outnumber births amongst white devils in more than half of the states in the country. Allahu Akbar. Demographers have found. We love this, everybody. We love this. We love this. We love this. And our love of this is consistent with our oppression. You see? Because you don't go starving for a year and a half and somebody comes up to you with a quarter pounder and you go, and you're mad about it. You're happy about that. Finally some food. Finally. If they just brought you an avocado or something. Finally. And so such is the case. We have endured and continue to endure the worst oppression and racism and hatred from this devil that any other people could ever claim. And so it is consistent for us to rejoice when we hear news like this. Yes, Allahu Akbar. Yes, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah. You see? Yes, die y'all white ass off so the rest of humanity can get about the business of living. I'm so excited I can't even read this. Wait, calm down, Jedi. Alright. Signaling what could be a faster than expected transition to a future in which whites are no longer a majority of the American population. The Census Bureau, that their white asses keep, has projected that white devils could drop below 50% of the population around 2045. Now, we stop and say this at this comma. We don't believe that, because the census is kept by them. So, of course, they would inflate the year. Well, not till 2045. Not. I suggest to you, these bitches are already the minority, everybody. That's my truth, and I'm proclaiming it. That's my truth. What evidence do you have for that, Jedi? Well, I'll tell you. Why is it that every time there's a presidential election, suddenly there's issues with voter laws? Suddenly there's machines that don't work in, 90% of the counties in one state, and they end up with one machine. You see? There must be a reason for that. I always tell you, always ask why. Why? The most beautiful thing that comes out of the mouth of a child. Why? And it's always in black counties, because we make the difference. You understand? And so this signals to me that we are the majority. And also, when you add to that evidence the onslaught of every show on television now is interracial. Every commercial, no matter what the product, all damn day is interracial. This suggests to me a fever, an urgency. Quick, we'll have white people that are just a little bronzed, but they'll still be us. Why else would they have my Arab brothers and sisters come here and declare themselves white, I ask you? Why are some Latinos declared white? Huh? Because I suggest you, it's not 2045, bitches, it's 2018. It's now. That there will be 50% by 2045, a relatively slow-moving change that has been years in the making. But a new report this week found that white devils are dying faster than they are being born, now in 26 states, up from 17 just 2 years ago. So 2 years ago they were dying in 17 states. Now it's 26. So in 2 years we'd have to expand that number, right? So in 2 years it'll be 26, 35 states, and then in 2 years from that, and so on. So that's not 2045. You see, they're already contradicting themselves. And demographers say that the shift might come even sooner. Well, then now they add that. Well, then that verifies what I'm telling you. Of course it's sooner. It's now. It's happening a lot faster than we thought, said Rogelio Sáenz, a demographer at the University of Texas in San Antonio and a co-author of the report. It examines the period from 1999 to 2016 using data from the National Centers of Health Statistics, the federal agency that tracks births and deaths. He said he was so surprised at the findings that at first he thought it was a mistake. I love this, because this is one of my greatest prayers, everybody, and maybe this is what Allah is signaling to me, and maybe this is why He made it such that Zahir found this article saying specifically these words, because I asked the Creator, could you just kill them off? Why don't you kill them off? You can do anything. Why don't you kill these people? Kill them off! Because everything that my Maker has told me about righteousness, they are in absolute conflict with that. And they gotta go. They gotta go. Death surpassed birth among white devils in the U.S. And then there's a graph, and we're not going to get into it, but you could see it. Alright, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we had a great look at it now. Alright, the pattern first started back when this devil came out of the cave. Oh, I'm sorry, it doesn't say that. Alright. The pattern first started nearly 2 decades ago in a handful of states with aging white populations like Pennsylvania and West Virginia. But fertility rates dropped drastically after the Great Recession, and mortality rates for white devils who are not of Hispanic origins have been rising, you see? So it's important to help my people understand. Why do you think they add, we're talking about white people, why do we suddenly interject this Hispanic shit? It's the same as when you have their white ass talking about, I'm Native American. No, bitch, you are not. You are not. You are not Native American, not you. So, but you have this, they make this distinction of who are not of Hispanic origin, because you have people of Hispanic origin that they have them claiming that they're white. I even saw a video on YouTube, like, I don't know, a couple years ago or something, where it was some Latino out at some Latin event, like a carnival or something somewhere. And he's a YouTuber, I guess. And he was going up and asking Latinos at this damn event, while they're eating their cotton candy and carrying their stuffed animals and and like, you know, what race are you? And a lot of them were saying white. I had to stop the video and be hospitalized for 2.5 weeks on a ventilator. I was over it. I'm still over it. We'll pick it up. But fertility rates dropped drastically after the Great Recession, and mortality rates for white devils who are of not Hispanic origin have been rising, driven partly by the drug overdoses. That has put demographic change on a faster track. The list of states where white devils dying outnumbered births now include North Carolina and Ohio. Now, you're going to see in the 2020 election, you're definitely going to be seeing a lot of controversy about the voting, even more so than we've already seen, which you would imagine there couldn't be any more, but alas there will be, because there's no end to the evil of this devil. You're going to see even more of a scandal in Ohio and North Carolina come the 2020 election. You're going to see lines from North Carolina to California for the state of Carolina and Ohio. Watch what I'm telling you. Because they're going to claim that they don't have any machines that work. And everybody there is going to be a felon and can't vote, and oh, it's going to wait. Watch what I'm telling you, and I'll do an "I told you so" video. The changes had broad implications, or the change has broad implications for identity and for the country's political and economic life. Think about that. Think about that. But we're all the same. We're all equal, everybody. So all white devils dying out shouldn't have any effect on anything, right? According to that model that we're all the same, we're all equal. But what do they say here? Has broad implications for identity and for the country's political and economic life. Transforming a mostly white devil baby boomer society into a multi-ethnic and racial patchwork. A majority of the youngest Americans are already non-white and look less like older generations than at any point in modern American history. And I think in that sentence they're including Africans and the white devil, because our kids aren't looking like us anymore because of all the interracial bullshit. You see? And either are their kids because of the interracial bullshit. A majority of the youngest Americans are already non-white and look less like older generations than at any point in modern American history. In California, 50% of all children are living in homes with at least one immigrant parent. Well, because California is mostly Mexico. You understand that? You feel me? Like, they need to just stop playing. And I said back when Obama was running for president the first time, when I would be trying to get Latinos to vote for Obama, I used to cite who was the then mayor out in California, Antonio Villaraigosa. And I was telling them, you know, if you don't vote for this black man, then one of y'all Mexican ass ain't gonna never be fucking president in this bitch. But you already have Villaraigosa in California, which is the largest economy in the country. And I said, his people are there. He will run for governor whenever he chooses, and his people will vote for him, and Antonio Villaraigosa will be governor of the state of California. Watch what I'm telling you. I said this back in 2008. I understand now that Antonio Villaraigosa is on the ballot running for fucking governor of the state of California. Don't fuck with me. Don't approach me. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's suicide. So I'm saying that's that love for self. So I'm saying that's that love for self. That's the love for self. Another clue that the demography is marching forward came on Thursday when the Census Bureau released population estimates that showed. Now this is just of Thursday, because remember this article is dated the 20th from yesterday, everybody. So this is current right now. So they're saying it came on Thursday when the Census Bureau released population estimates that showed for the first time a decline in the white devil population. The drop was small, just 0.2%, or 31,000 people in the year ending last July. But a demographer at the Bureau, Molly Cromwell, definitely a white heifer, said that it was real. Because who names their kid Molly except for white people? Alright. Said that it was real and followed a 9,475 person drop the year before. So there was 31,000 the year before. Wait. Yeah. And 9,000 the year before. Oh. So they had a 31,000. Wait, Jedi. So they had 9,000 the year before, and then 31,000 as of this year that they tested it. So that's an exponential growth. They are dropping like flies. Allahu Akbar. That one was so small that it was essentially viewed as no change, she said. What does it mean for the political map? Some experts say that rapid demographic change became a potent issue in the 2016 presidential race and helped drive white voters to support the fucking orange tulip. Of the states where deaths now exceed births for White Devil, 13 voted for the Orange Circus and 13 voted for Sniper Fire. 4 are states that flipped from Obama in 2012 to Trump in 2016: Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Florida. It was not clear how demographic change will affect politics in the future. I want to stop and say this. Listen, they keep perpetuating this lie ever since that fucking election, everybody. Unfortunately, when the channel that got shut down, I had a very thorough breakdown telling you how this election was going to come out. And then it did that, and then I came back and then I did my I told you so video. And in that, I told you that people were not trusting fucking Sniper Fire. Most of this country wanted Bernie Sanders. Period. But black fucking Christians were seduced by this Sniper Fire bitch. And you couldn't see past your asshole to see Bernie. And you were buying into this fiction that he was old and he was this and oh my god. So your ass is up on the fucking kill block. White devils who are Republican were inclined not to vote for Trump because they thought it was a joke just like everybody else. You had a small minority of them that was going to vote for Trump, but not enough to elect him. Certainly not for electoral votes. It was all about Bernie, but you had the Democratic fucking committee, that Debbie Wasserman Schultz troll ass bitch, colluding and conniving with Sniper Fire against Bernie so that she would definitely be the one who would be the nominee of the party. And the moment everybody's, but for the fact that I'm not a fucking Republican and I cannot stand their fucking white racist asses, I could see, and I told you that those people are then, if it's a choice between him and Sniper Fire, they're going to fucking vote for Trump, and that's how he's going to be president. He is president because Bernie Sanders voters voted for him and or did not vote at all. Let us be clear, but they keep telling this lie. That's how the shit broke down. And I told you about the big surprise in Michigan, because they had Sniper Fire up in the polls, like she was way up to some ungodly number. She was definitely a shoo-in. And I came on and said, no, watch. What they're not polling is the Muslims. Because Michigan represents the highest population of Muslims in this fucking country. And they will vote for the Orthodox Jew. Sure enough, Bernie Sanders won fucking Michigan, and all the pundits were scratching their head. All you gotta do is pay attention. People say demographics is destiny, and there'll be more people of color. All that is true, said Jennifer whoever, a social psychologist at Yale University. But they also say the U.S. is going to become more progressive. Now, that's code for we have something in place now where it's going to be more interracial. Let's read on. I expect it to say that. But, she says, and I always tell you, anything that follows but is bullshit. So we'll start at the beginning of the paragraph. People say demographics is destiny, and there will be more people of color. All true, comma, said Jennifer, whoever, and wherever. But they also say the U.S. is going to become more progressive. And we don't know that. We should not assume that white moderates and liberals will maintain current political allegiances. Nor should we expect that the so-called non-white people group is going to work in any kind of coalition. Do you see what they just said there, everybody? We may not be the majority, but there's no guarantee that they're going to work for their own agenda. They'll still carry on white supremacy. We should not assume that white moderates and liberals will maintain current political allegiances. Nor, in other words, we can't expect they're going to be together, nor should we expect that the so-called non-white group is going to work in any kind of coalition amongst themselves. You see? Very diabolical. At its most basic, the change is about population, but each state experiences it differently. Florida was the first state where white devils deaths outstripped births around 1993. You know, I want to say this. This is why it's so important, everybody, that we understand how is it that still most police forces across this bitch are white when they're the minority. You see, we have to if you have a child right now, male or female, that's talking about they want to be a police officer, you sit their little snotty nose ass down and tell them you are only going to that bitch to do the same shit to white people they're doing to your people right now. Period. Period. That's how you change the tide. You must do unto others as they've done unto you. Period. And then they don't do the shit no more. That's why your grandmama or your mama or your daddy would get after your ass when you did something when you were little. So you don't do the shit no more. There'll be no forgiveness. Only retribution and revenge. A new day is dawning. A new day. Florida, we read that largely because it was drawing a lot of retirees. Yeah, because everybody gets their Social Security check and goes to Florida. But its population has been one of the fastest growing in the nation. Retirees have kept coming, replenishing the white population. And in large Hispanic population, its large Hispanic population has helped lift the state overall, because they bust their ass. The median age for Hispanics in the United States is 29, prime for childbearing compared to 43 for whites. Deaths began to exceed births for white devils countrywide in 2016, according to the report. But in many states, as in Florida, white devils moving in made up the losses. However, in 17 states, including California, Michigan, New Jersey, and Ohio, those migrants weren't enough, and the white devil population declined between 2015 and 2016, said Kenneth Somebody, a demographer at the University of New Hampshire, and the report's other author. 5 of those states registered drops in their total population that year: Vermont, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Mississippi, and Connecticut. The aging of the white devil began in rural counties long before it ever took hold in an entire state. Martin County, a bear-shaped patch of eastern North Carolina, first experienced it in the late 1970s. In recent years, deaths have exceeded births among its black population. That's in North Carolina. Because of AIDS, everybody. I told you that shit is on. It's an epidemic in just in the South in general, and in Florida, and in DC, and someplace else. I've seen a documentary. Like, this shit is. But I'm gonna see if they're gonna cite what the reason is, because they said the patch had first experienced in the late 70s. In recent years, deaths have exceeded births amongst its black population. Deaths have exceeded births amongst its black population too. Hispanics make up less than 4% of the county's population. There are just hardly any young people in the county anymore, said Michael Brown, 66, a retired hospital maintenance worker in Robinsonville. His 2 daughters went away to college and never moved back, a typical pattern for young people from the country. We are last generation who stayed with their parents, said Brown. Fewer young families means fewer children. Christopher Mansfield, the county superintendent of schools, said the county has lost about 40% of its school-age population since the late 1990s. In those days, the county had 12 public schools. He said soon it will have 8. The county now has what Dr. Mansfield called bookend demographics, with a large population bulge over the age of 50 and another one under the age of 19. The prime working age population is small in comparison. I want to say this also, everybody, speaking of numbers and growth. One of the reasons why they are also in fear of Islam is because the average Muslim is under the age of 30. Do you understand? So the world Muslim population is a young population. It just is. And so even as recently as when I began to speak in YouTube videos in 2014, it was 1.5 billion Muslims. Here we sit in 2018 and the population is 1.8 billion. We are growing like roaches. The prophecy is being fulfilled, because we know as Muslims that Allah says that Islam will be the #1 religion on the earth before the great day of judgment, and before Isa alayhi salam can return to the earth. And why Jesus is returning to the earth is to tell Christians, I am not your Lord and Savior, and I did not die for your ass. Period. And give them an opportunity to repent. That's another video, Jedi, but I had to get that in. The county now has what Dr. Mansfield called bookend demographics. I read that. Mr. Brown is practical about this change. He loved growing up in the county and is grateful he was able to care for his parents when they were ill from his house across the street. But America is changing and society is not really set up that way anymore. He and his wife plan to move to Atlanta next year to be near their daughter, a pharmacist. Despite demographic changes, white devils, and in particular less educated white devils, will still make up the bulk of eligible voters in the country for a while. Listen, stop. You can't have that, everybody. You can't have them being the fucking declining in 26 states, they said now, or 29, or whatever it is. And but look at this. Despite that, they still make up the bulk of eligible voters in the country. No, fuck that. And we also take issue with this word eligible, because for all of our brothers and sisters that have caught with a little roach of fucking marijuana that's clearly for personal use, that have a fucking felony or some bullshit, now they can't vote. And niggas that had some shit from many years ago and they still a felony. So we take issue with this eligible bullshit. You see? Fuck that. If you were born and raised in this bitch, you are eligible to vote. Period. The damn end. Doesn't matter if you killed your fucking grandmother. I'm over it. I'm getting worked up. In other words, we still gonna control the politics, because I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be a better place to live once their white asses can no longer vote and can't affect the vote. Because the only people fucking up everything on every level, including the fucking voting, is their ass. They are why you have Trump. I needn't say anything else. I'm over it. Will still, okay, white devils without a bachelor's degree will make up 44% of the eligible voters in 2020. 44% of them don't have a bachelor's degree. Wow. Said somebody, a political scientist. I'm over it. College educated white devils will be about 20%. Mr. Somebody said that Republicans could continue to win presidential elections and lose the popular vote through 2016. Listen to that. That's very dangerous, everybody. Well, let me finish to the period. If they did even better among whites who had not graduated from college, while other voting patterns held steady. Listen, whether or not you voted for, you fucking graduated from anywhere, or if you just went to fucking kindergarten, has nothing to do with you voting. Nothing to do with it. This is more bullshit. And by the way, this is the New York Times. You see, So we have to be careful of its author. But I proclaim to you that what they're trying to say, because we saw this phenomenon in the 2000 election, when that Al Gore wins the popular vote, but the fucking beady-eyed satanic devil is the one that becomes president. Then we see this again. Every time there's a big swell for the people to maybe get what it's going to really look is going to possibly be a democracy. Because it would have been more of a democracy had Al Gore won. I believe that. I'm going to take that to my grave. Don't type me shit. So there was that big swell. Oh, damn it. Quick, Bush. And it's always some dumb fuck. Whatever you want to say about Gore, he was somebody who was clearly an intellectual. Clearly an educated person. Clearly. Here you had this other asshole who can't form a sentence and he becomes president. Now, fast forward 2016. You've got fuck Sniper Fire. You've got Bernie Sanders. And oh my God, the people are on fire. Like they were for Obama. And I suggest even worse, because he has the benefit of being a Jew and a white man. You see? So the shit that Obama intended to do but just simply couldn't do because the white devils weren't going to let him do it, Bernie could have got it done, damn it. And his record going back 40 years had been consistent. Consistent. So again, you had somebody who was passionate, on fire, who had experience, was intellectual, was also educated. No, let's bring in the Orange Circus. So it's very dangerous that they're mentioning this. They go out of their way to say that Republicans could continue to win presidential elections and lose the popular vote through 2036. In other words, even if we're not the fucking majority, white folks, if they're using Republicans, because the Republicans is just code word for white devil for me. Period. Because ain't nobody fucking black Republican. Period. Whatever we want to say about the two political parties in this fucking country, we know that that one is definitely white devil. Period. 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 You could argue Democrats are fake me out white people that want to pretend they're good, whatever. We could have that talk. But we're in no doubt about who fucking Republicans are. We're under no illusion. And so this is saying that even if there's 3 of us, we still could win even if we don't win the popular vote. Fuck you. This is why they have to continue to die, everybody. They must continue to die more rapidly. I'm over it. This is giving politicians incentives to emphasize issues like immigration and race, where there are the biggest differences in views by education. No. Your view on race and immigration don't have shit to do with your education. It has to do with whether or not you're a fucking racist white devil or not. Period. 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 If you're a racist white devil, you have a problem with race and a problem with immigration by default, because immigration is race. Don't fuck with me. Do not approach. Don't. A class divided has been growing for years among whites. In 1988, there was no difference between white devils with a college degree and those without, because they're all evil. That's what they really should say there. Both voted for fucking beady-eyed Bush over Mike Dukakis well, they're talking about George Bush Sr., because it's 1988, yeah, okay. Voted for the fucking over Dukakis, but that was a smart vote, you know. Fuck Dukakis. He the way he talks, he even look like his breath stinks. You know what I mean? You know, when people, you could tell they trying to talk like you probably ain't gonna smell their breath, but you just dying and like breaking out in sweat and hives. So I can't. And although I wasn't really politically savvy in the 1980s, still I knew enough to say that Bush was the best fucking pick of the evils. I said it. Damn it. Stop typing. By a 20-point margin. By 2016, Sniper Fire lost non-college whites by 31 points because of her fucking lying. Double President Obama's 2012 loss See how they put that Mr. Obama bullshit? He was president, bitches. Huh? Mr. Obama. I'm over it. 2012 loss while carrying college-educated whites by 7 points. This is a real sea change, said Miss Taxidermy. I'm going to call the bitch. This is why Republicans have been able to weather these demographic changes entirely on the backs of white non-college voters. No. Some experts argue that I already gave you the reading, everybody. I already gave you the reason. I already gave it to you. Some experts argue that the transition to a white devil minority might be much further off than the numbers suggest. No. Because they already said up at the beginning of the article the firm predictions, and even saying it probably will be sooner. Now they want to get down here in the middle and say, well, some experts argue that trend. No, you're not an expert, because the experts have spoken. You see, this down here is just motherfuckers that want an opinion because they don't like the answer. Some experts argue that the transition to a white devil minority might be much further off than the numbers suggest. It's way further off. Didn't you see the white bitch next to you drop dead? You still think it's further off? You still think this? You think this? The Census Bureau counts any person who is of, here we go, who is of mixed race or ethnicity as non-white. But that's going to be changing, everybody. I suggest to you that's going to be changing. Suddenly it's going to be, if you're mixed race, they'll say if you're like black and Chinese or something, then you'll be considered mixed race. But I'm promising you, they're going to come up with this bullshit. If you're mixed with black and white, you're going to be considered white, because they've already laid the pathwork by naming Hispanics as fucking white. I'm over it. The Census Bureau counts is non-white, and experts say this can underestimate whites in the population. How? The Census Bureau counts any person who is of mixed race or ethnicity as non-white, comma, and experts say this can underestimate whites in the population. How? For example, the child of a white mother and Hispanic father would be counted as Hispanic, even though research shows that many such mixed children, about 11% of all births, according to Richard Alba, a sociologist at the University of New York, are not unlike white children in terms of residence, family income, schooling, and eventual marriage. You see, they're trying to morph that Hispanic into, they're trying to justify why that Hispanic is more white to them. Remember, this is they're defining this shit. Nobody's writing or studying this shit except for their white ass, everybody. I need you to be in that context and be clear. Well, we've already morphed the Hispanic into white. Well, look, according to, well, they're more like us. I mean, listen, if they're, they're clearly, that's what they're saying here. No, they're not, and they're not unlike white children in terms of the fact that they will hate black people and act white devilish, and their residency, their family income, school, and eventual marriage. The Census Bureau is trying to apply a 20th century conception of race and ethnicity on a situation that's fundamentally changing, Professor Alba said. The rapid rise of racial and ethnic mixing has led to a generation of young people whose identities are fluid, comma, but who often, quote, learn white, end quote, he said. You see? This is everything that I've been preaching, everybody. Listen, that's what they're going to say. It's going to be another reprint of the Time and Newsweek and National Geographic magazine, and it's going to say the new race. And all that bullshit of non-whites and non-Hispanic and all the bullshit, that fuck all of that. They're going to start naming anybody who is of black and white mix as white. Period. Interesting that in this article they've not mentioned anything about having Arabs declare themselves as white. People from the Middle East. And I recite for you Dr. Mustafa Hefni, a very black Egyptian, blacker than that do-rag I wear, you understand, who has for decades been trying to be able to get his ethnicity in this country changed to African instead of fucking white. The white man is the devil. And we need to understand that, because everything that we're reading here is the evidence and the movings of a devil. You understand? Human people, divinely created by God, are not studying these issues and don't give a fuck about how many of us and how many of them. We just want to know if do we like you and can we get along? Can we trade? You see? Or whatever. They're the ones obsessed with how many of them are dying off, and is it going to be... And the only reason why we have to be concerned about how many of us are dying off is because of their evil. It would be a non-issue for us. But because of their existence, the presence of their evil, their inherent evil, we have to worry when our numbers begin to be attacked. Because we're going to need a lot of us to take the S out. But nature is doing it for us. Praise be to Allah, the Most High. The Most High. But this is very crafty. It's very crafty. Very crafty. Very crafty. You could think of them as kind of integrating into a kind of white mainstream. It ends there. I'm over it. You see? I'm going to read this last paragraph again, everybody, because it's worth it. The Census Bureau, which is run by fucking white devils, is trying to apply a 20th century conception of race and ethnicity to a situation that's fundamentally changing, Professor Alba said. The rapid rise of racial and ethnic mixing, due to the fucking commercials and television shows and movies that we're doing, you have to add that in parentheses. Alright? Has led to a generation of young people whose identities are fluid, comma, parentheses, because they're being influenced by this bullshit and told that they were all the same, but who often, quote, lean white, end quote. That's very important. Lean white, end quote. You could think of them as kind of integrating into a kind of white mainstream. You could kind of think of them as already white, is what they're saying there, everybody. We have to be vigilant, everybody. Listen, I was at the lab the other day, or whenever, and I had to have some blood drawn. And this sister, I'm not somebody that gets into people's conversation. She was the only spot that works up in the fucking lab. And she had one of the mop-ass weaves that should have been snatched off and eaten by rats. But that's going to be in the book. I don't want to get into that. I'll get worked up. Alright, fine. But some white celebrity she named. I guess he's a soccer player or some, I don't know what the fuck he does. And her and the little white girl was over there. And she goes, so, oh my God, I'd have his baby right now. That's her black ass. Now, my first inclination was to take off my sandal and throw it at her. But I was held back. You said, but I was held back. So I'm saying, I was held back. So I said, wow, that's disappointing. She goes, why? Because he's white? And I looked at her over my glasses with that death glare like, fuck you, bitch. She goes, I don't discriminate. I go, that's the problem. That's the problem. That's the problem. And while in any other setting I would have hated to have done any sister like that in a public setting, that's what she needed in that moment. She needed it. That and then some. And I should have had like 4 or 5 sisters with me to drag her ass up out of there. You see? But, and she's as black as my fucking do-rag. I'm over it. But that's what we're dealing with. You see? Listen, let's not help them, everybody. They're dying. Thank God. We don't care why they're dying. We just rejoice that they are. And we pray that that pattern accelerates. That even in 2 years, we'll look up and there's no more fucking white people on this bitch. That would be paradise. I'd like to know what their rate is in South Africa. I'd like to know that. Is this just white devils in this country, or is this just affecting their people around the earth? You see? Because we'd like for them to die off very quickly in South Africa as well. Very quickly. We need their asses gone. been gone. But you need to start sitting your damn children down right now. First of all, you need to turn off the goddamn TV. And you don't let them watch any fucking cartoons. There's no need for any children's programming, everybody. You're trying to raise a human. You're trying to raise an adult. From childhood to adult. You're trying to raise a person. You begin when they come out. You don't talk to them in giddy later. Oh, baby, do. Fuck all of that. You talk to them just like I'm talking right now. That's how you talk to a new mind. Teaching, growing, molding, shaping. You see? It begins immediately. And there's no need for any children's programming. At all. What you need to pick is intellectual programming, educational programming that is geared for an adult audience. Because remember, it's a new mind. It can pick up anything. They start learning now, and you make sure that those images are either animal or only African. Anytime you expose them to any images of anything white, you put some negative connotation with that. That needs to be installed. That needs to be installed. And then you put in the movie Amistad and you show them only the middle passage. Don't show them shit else. You don't need to. You show them only the middle passage. That's all we need. That's all we need. That's what I'm saying. That's all we need. When my nephew was 8 and 9, I'd have him sitting down watching 6-hour documentaries. Do you understand? Because I understand that's a new mind. And I got to build right now. I don't got time. Got to start building right now on that site while it's fresh. Start building. Get the contractors out there and start building. Before the rain season comes. Before the earthquakes and all the bullshit. Start building now. Stop underestimating the capacity of a new mind and see it as such. See it as an endless opportunity. Yes, they can learn anything. Start learning foreign languages right now. From the time they're babies, they could be bilingual. Because immigrants that come here, Arab kids that I know, they speak Arabic and English, and they're like a toddler. That's it, because their mind is picking up both things. Every Spanish child that I know, where their parents are immigrants and not Chicano, they speak Spanish and English, and they're toddlers. I'm over it. Let us stop underestimating the minds of our newly born children, and let's start changing the curriculum for them now. Right now. And let's start steering them and threatening them into careers, jobs, and pursuits that are going to put us in a different position in the society. We're not into dreams and desires and hobbies. You will do what we tell you you're going to go into. You're going into medicine. Get your ass over there. You're going into retail. Get your ass over there. You're going into pharmaceuticals. Get your shit. You are going into agriculture. Get your shit. You see what I'm saying? You are going into banking. We start telling them what they're going to do. You're going into engineering. Do it. I'm sick and tired of meeting other African people when I'm sharing my college experience, and they say, "Oh, really? What did you major in college?" I go, "Well, I majored in business." And then they go, "What'd you major in?" "Oh, psychology." Nobody's paying you to psychologize any fucking thing. In fact, I don't even know any black psychologists at all, and I've lived all over the country. I don't know any black psychologists. I don't. But it's always some non-coin ass, pursuit that they have been embarking upon. We need shit that ends in a coin and in power. Influence and importance is what we need. That's what we need. Damn it. Now, I'm going to try and make this other story really quick, you guys, because as we were going through this, I forgot that I'm supposed to be doing a second story. And I don't think I want to make it 2 separate videos. I think well, maybe I could just do 2 separate ones, damn. I'm going to leave this one as a standalone. I will. I'm going to leave this one as a standalone. I'm going to make that executive decision right here. I'm going to make this a standalone. And then the next video, well, I'll preview it for you, is going to be about this. This inspires me and makes me sick and sad and keeps me up at night all at the same time. City's law enforcement arm, led by African American women, is first for America. And I'm going to be bringing you the information in this video where every single major department to run that entire fucking city is held, the head position is held by an African woman. And you already know where I'm going with that. You already know. You already know. I don't need to get into it. I don't need to. So, we'll leave that as a standalone. Wow. Let's begin to, and we don't have to wait on the next generation. We don't need to wait. Let's start chastising those amongst us now who would express any desire for anything outside of our people. We must have 100% in total compliance, everybody. You are with us or you are against us. That means family, friend, or goddammit foe. It doesn't matter. You're with us or you are against us, and we need to enforce that. And be very clear about that. And project a attitude and a you know, what's the word? An attitude. That's not the word I want. But anyways, you gotta let it be known to motherfuckers that's around you that they shouldn't even come near you if they're not in your same thinking space. Because the times are critical. We don't have time for individuals. We don't. We don't. We need motherfuckers that are a unit. And that have unit thinking. Black allegiance, black collusion, black unity. If they're thinking any other way, we have to throw them out with the trash. I'll see you soon.